Welcome everyone to another episode of Reese's Roundup. I am your host, the Lightning Kid himself, and today, Brandon Marshall. Boy, oh boy, I feel like this is this is some deja vu, because it seems like every year I talk about Brandon Marshall joining another team. I mean, the last time the guy was on a team for more than one season, the Cavs and Warriors were just meeting each other for the first time in the finals. So think about that. Guys, Brandon Marshall is now a part of the Seattle SEAHAWKS. Why? Why Seattle? Well, why did Seattle take Brandon Marshall? That's a big question. I mean, last season with the Giants, he had 18 receptions for 154 yards. Granted, it was only in 5 games, but I mean, he was only averaging about 4 receptions and about 30 yards per game. So, I mean, those numbers, if you average that out for the rest of the season, that's not too good. In 2016, when he was on the Jets, he had 59 receptions for 788 yards and 3 touchdowns in 15 games. Now, that was probably the start of his decline, because his last best season was in 2015 with the Jets, where he had 109 receptions, 1,502 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Now, Brandon Marshall, guys, he isn't... I don't want to say he's done, because last season, when I made this video, I said that Brandon Marshall was a top 10 receiver when he has a quarterback. And Brandon Marshall hasn't had a quarterback pretty much in his career. I mean, he's had to make do with what he had, and that's what makes him one of the best receivers of all time. I don't want to say of all time, but he is a baller. That's all I can say, is that he's a really good receiver. And I mean, last season he didn't really get such a good rep because he only played 5 games and he got injured for the rest of the season, and the Giants were like, nope, that was your time, you're done. So I think the Giants made a huge mistake letting him go, and Seattle's going to get their money's worth with who they have now. But the real question is, why did they take Brandon Marshall and not Dez Bryant? Well, you see, Dez Bryant in 2016, because you can't really make the comparison since Brandon Marshall only played 5 games in 2017. So we're going to compare their stats in 2016. So Brandon Marshall in 2016, remember, he had 59 receptions, 788 yards, and 3 touchdowns in 15 games. Dez Bryant in 2016 also played 15 games, had 50 receptions, 796 yards, and 8 touchdowns. His last best season, Brandon Marshall's last best season, remember, he had 109 receptions, 1,502 yards, 14 touchdowns. Dez Bryant's last best season, he had 88 receptions, 1,320 yards, 1,320 yards, and 16 touchdowns. So I would say they're about the same player, give or take, but I don't know. It's something about Brandon Marshall. I guess height, I guess route running, I guess persistence. I don't know. I guess Dez Bryant's not the guy anymore. He's not that. You could see Dez Bryant's talent declining, whereas with Brandon Marshall, he just didn't. I mean, he was just unfortunate. And the season prior, in 2016, he just didn't have a good season. So, I mean, on top of that, Brandon Marshall has had Eli Manning and Ryan Fitzpatrick as his quarterback the last couple of seasons. And Dez Bryant, I mean, he had Tony Romo, Tony Romo's an average quarterback. And he had Dak Prescott, who was an offensive player of the year. I mean, that guy took off in his rookie season, and he did really well in his second season. So there's really no excuse for Dez Bryant, but you can make an excuse for Brandon Marshall, which is why I could see why the Seahawks would sign Brandon Marshall over Dez Bryant. I mean, Russell Wilson can rekindle Marshall's career, whereas I just think Dez Bryant has had it. I think he's done. So that's the only thing that I can see why they would choose Marshall over Bryant. Will Bryant sign with the team? I don't even think so at this point. So I mean, we'll see how it goes for the season with Brandon Marshall. Will he? The real question is that I want you guys to leave in the comment section below. Will Brandon Marshall stay with Seattle for more than one season? Let's make a bet on that. I bet you guys. I bet you guys. My glasses cleaner that Brandon Marshall won't stay with Seattle for what? Actually, let's make a bigger deal. I bet you one Yu-Gi-Oh card that Brandon Marshall won't stay with Seattle for more than. I mean, this is Celestia Lightsworn Angels, so you guys will be getting your money's worth if you win this bet. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. What's gonna happen to Brandon Marshall this season? What are his numbers gonna look like? I don't know. To me, I think he'll do well because Russell Wilson is a fantastic quarterback. I still don't think the Seahawks will make it to the not Super Bowl, the playoffs, because I mean their team is just declining altogether. But with the addition of Brandon Marshall going to be playing alongside Doug Baldwin, the Seahawks have always had a problem of not having a second receiver, and Doug Baldwin is a really good receiver. So I think Marshall complementing Baldwin will help Russell Wilson in the long run. But we'll see how it works out for them. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.